The top 10 at best art travel mounts. In at number 10, I've decided to put the Rock Drake, as I find this is actually quite an effective creature for travel if you utilize it on the right maps. Yes, it doesn't fit into every situation where you may want this thing, but to be honest, if you get one and you use it for travel, especially on Aberration, it's like your only choice really on that map without any kind of transfers of things like Bloodstalkers and Maywings and all of that. It is really going to do a lot of good service on that map, and it really does do you some good service on some other maps as well, like Gen 1 2 if you want to bring it over, and especially maps with a lot of things just like big objects everywhere for this creature to hold on to, because it's not particularly great with loads of flat terrain. I wouldn't bring it on the island of course, but still you can get quite a lot of leeway out of this creature even in some flatter environments. I'm using it in one here, and I still did get across this place pretty quickly while also recording the B-roll, so it went pretty smoothly in my opinion, and it is definitely a very nice, fast, reasonably great travel mount. There's also got a load of great attacking abilities as well, which just help it along the way. Next up on the list, I've decided to put the Pteranodon, as I really do like this as a general flyer. I think it has a lot going for it, especially considering the level that you actually unlock this thing. It's sort of insane what you can get out of this creature. It's a little bit absurd, to be honest, the level on which this creature is actually unlocked, as you would expect it to be unlocked way later into everything. But honestly, for level 38 saddle, this is one of the best flyers, or just travel mounts in general, that you can get, and I think nothing really else can compete with it, unless you're obviously on Gen 1 and Aberration, where you simply can't use Pteranodons. But you know, we're going to exclude those for the time being, as the majority of maps do allow flyers, and for all of those, which is obviously most of them, you're going to have a very good time with this mount. They're quick and easy to tame. You can simply do it with a bowler. You'll have no issues whatsoever, at least I haven't. The only real difficulty is getting that saddle, as you know, that chitin and keratin can be a little bit of a nuisance to get sometimes, but apart from that, it's totally fine. Continuing on the list, I've decided to put the Crystal Wyvern, as I find this is an effective mount just generally for all of that flying. Yes, you can use normal wyverns as well, but I just prefer the Crystal Wyvern. It's not necessarily that they're better in terms of a travel perspective, but I do vastly prefer the taming of these creatures. It's much easier. You only need to be level 60, which can be simply done with a note run, and then you knock out one of these things to get some primal crystal, and then passive tame one. My favourite is the Blood Crystal Wyvern. Comment down what your favourite is, as I definitely like to know, because you know, we all have a favourite wyvern, I think, at the end of the day, unless you've never used them before, especially in Crystal Wyverns, I find, because their abilities are just so cool. The Ember Crystal Wyvern is one which is quite highly rated too. It has the same speed, mobility and rubbish turning circle as a normal wyvern, but they are really effective travel mounts, being like some of the fastest flyers in the game. I'm not including gliding abilities into that factor, just straight flying. The wyverns are some of the fastest out there, so they really do deserve this spot in my opinion, as I feel like, you know, they can be used quite effectively for a lot of travel scenarios. Coming up in the number 7 spot is the Snow Owl. This is the first glider, quote unquote, apart from the Rock Drake that we've had on the list, and this is one where I find it is a really effective traveller. It is a basic knockout tame, and you'll have no issues with that whatsoever. You simply need to head over to the Snow Biome on Extinction, and I think they spawn on Fjorda as well, so if you don't have Extinction, hop over to there, and I think you'll find them on that map. They obviously have that sort of dive bomb ability like the Griffin. The Griffin isn't on this list, but I'll give it a brief honourable mention. You could slot it in the same spot as the Snow Owl. They are quite similar when it comes to travelling abilities. It's just the Snow Owl is my preferred creature. I find them a little bit easier to tame, and I like some of their other abilities along with it, but obviously they're very quick flyers because of that dive bomb ability. Also feel it's a little bit more fluid than the one that the Griffin's got. That's probably merely a placebo, but we'll go with it. They also do have a kind of heat-seeking UV ability sort of thing, where you can go around and scout out all kinds of just organisms that give off heat. That can be used in whatever scenario you may need to apply it to. It sort of acts as night vision as well in some cases. Then obviously they can heal up creatures. You just need to level up their stamina more if you want to heal those creatures up for longer. If you're wondering why you can't heal creatures up for longer, it's because you need more stamina, so get that stamina cranky, and then you can heal some creatures for serious lengths of time and really get them healed up. It's great if you're just taming something and then its health is really low, like you've been training it for ages. You can simply heal it with one of these things and it's back up to scratch. The Daedon can't do that because it can only heal up your own creatures. And obviously snow owl pellets are going to be extremely useful if you're feeling scratches. You can get some insane loot. Next up, I've decided to put the Argentavis, as I find this is a really effective speed mount. If you want to get somewhere really quickly, the Argentavis or the Tripignatus, I'm gonna tag team them together because they are quite similar as creatures. Then you're gonna want one of these two. The Argentavis is just my favorite though, so that's why I'm putting it here instead. They can dash across the map with insane speed, and that isn't even accounting for obviously any speed leveling that you may do, because you can't on these things like you can't on all flyers unless you enable it, but you can get some insane speed on these things totally like on official settings, and that is absurd. The only reason why you go for a Tropio, in my opinion, over the Argentavis is the taming method is slightly less expensive. The maps that it spawns on tend to be better, and obviously the saddles are not at a way lower level. But apart from that, the Argentavis really does take the crown, in my opinion, for just being such a great travel mount. It can travel with such great speed and agility. It really is an effective mount for all of that. It's just like a dog fighter, but in Ark, essentially. In at number 5, I've got to put the Rhinognatha. This is obviously a very recent addition to Ark, but it really has influenced a lot of great traveling, at least for me, and especially considering you can pick up things like Diplos and Rexes and Parasitotheriums. It's absurd what this creature can really do. It's sort of insane, really. It's like, honestly, mind-boggling from a person like me who's been playing Ark for absolutely ages. It's crazy how the game really progresses. I'm definitely here for it, even though I wasn't really when this creature first came out. It's obviously quite a rare one. You find it on the island and the Lost Islands. It's very accessible to all you players out there because obviously it spawns on just the main map of the game. And sadly, it's the swamp biome, makes the swamp biome even more dangerous. But when it comes to speed and agility, the Rhinognatha really just does have it. It can go with so much give. It's insane, really. You can fly for tremendous distances without really using up any stamina, and their weight is great. You can carry a lot with you, and you can travel with great speed too, which is something which sort of matters at the end of the day. So let's just continue on the list, shall we? Next up, I'm putting the Desmodus. This creature is truly an effective mount. It is a great glider, and it really has done a lot for me in terms of travel. It has the Sanguine Elixir as well, which is an absolute cheat for tames. A third of it done like that with a click of a button, you'll have no issues whatsoever, or seemingly no issues whatsoever with the taming. You know, you never know what's going to happen. You could just get something like one of those ants just tear your tame to bits and ruin all of its effectiveness. That's annoying. Has that happened to you before? Comment that down below because I want to know. Again, it's got the same gliding ability as the Griffin and the Snow Owl. It really is just such a nice thing for a flyer to have, and this really does utilize it very effectively. I like how it uses the gliding ability. It feels very smooth, even smoother than the Snow Owl's one, and I do prefer it as a travel mount. They're also only spawn on Fiorda, like I think the Snow Owl, again, it does spawn on Fiorda too, but if you are on that map, I would rather go for this creature than the Snow Owl. It's just more useful in terms of all of its other abilities for me as a PvE player, and I just prefer its general agility. In at number 3, I've decided to put the Argy because this has been here for absolutely ages, and it is a go-to for me. Yes, while maybe not the fastest and most agile mount out there, I have done most of my traveling in Ark with simply this creature and this creature alone. I really do love it. Yes, nostalgia does play into it, but considering it spawns on the island and it is just so effective for metal gathering and more transportation. Actually, the Dodic and the Yankees will be doing that, and it can pick those up too. You can also pick up berries, so if ever I was going to a cave, I could just pick a berry of this thing. This is pre-cryopod days, if you are wondering. Now I usually just would cryo up my berry, or soul traps really, because I use that mod instead. Yes, I use mods because I love them. The game is definitely better with them, at least from my perspective. They also can travel very long distances, considering their stamina is great. Their weight is also up to quite a high standard, and I really do like that. And obviously with the weight reduction, it's 50% on things like Metal Crystal and Obsidian, which is why they're just such great metal haulers. They also have a portable smithy as a saddle, so you can do anything you do in the smithy in the RG saddle. So if you want to repair your armor after a cave run, let's say, you can, because those pesky autoclers at some point probably are going to get it, and that's something which you really don't want to happen. They also have a nice neat regen buff too, and I think that really does play into the essence of these creatures just being so versatile but also great travel mounts. In number 2, I've got to put the Bloodstalker, because for any underwater travel this is my go-to and I love it to absolute bits. It is actually insane how much I've been using the Bloodstalker as of late, but also just for general travel on the land as well. It is really effective. You're essentially a living Spider-Man. Its damage is also not to be underestimated. Yes, you're not going to be fighting any bosses with this thing, but you still can kill quite a fair few amount of creatures. They can obviously skate along the top of the water, and you can see all of the aggros of the creatures around you. So if a quick escape is needed, you can always go to the top of the water and skate away at lightning speeds, while also being able to see what creatures are actually aggroed onto you. This helps in a very low visibility environment like the ocean biome. I find that just to be really effective, and it just helps me in a way. Yes, I have the awesome Spyglass mod as well, but I don't need to really press anything for this to happen. It's just instant, and I could leave my awesome Spyglass on all the time, but frankly I wouldn't really want to do that. I only use it when I'm taming things. But obviously then when you hop out of the water, you've still got yourself an absolutely insane travel mount, and then you can be that real Spider-Man energy with you just slinging across the whole map. It's an insane creature for all things travel, and that is basically all I use it for, especially underwater travel. It's my all-time favorite underwater mount, and there is really no competition for this for me. That is my opinion. Let's get into number 1 spot, shall we? And in number 1, I've decided to put the Maywing, as I really do love this creature as a travel mount, and it is unbeaten ever since its release. This has been my go-to travel mount for everything apart from underwater travel. Although this is actually still a very decent underwater mount, and it can skate along the top of the water like the Bloodstalker 2. The Bloodstalker simply does a better job in that regard, but if I quickly need to dip in for something, the Maywing will definitely do the job with absolute ease. The saddle is unlocked at level 18, which is insanely early, so you can be getting these things basically as soon as possible. I think they spawn on Fjorda as well, but I usually go to Gen 2 to tame those things because I have the DLC and I just know they're there. Never tame one on Fjorda, but I think I've heard at some point that they have been on the map. I really am extremely unknowledgeable with Fjorda. Actually, I should probably look up all the creatures that are on that map and then converse with you in future top 10 videos. Either way, these things act as a portable feeding trough too, which is just absurd. It's a really nice ability for them to have. The animation is disturbing, but you know, we'll stick with it. And they can gather berries too, but the main reason why they're such good gliders, because you might say, well, they're just the same as the rock drake really, but you can really get a lot more agility out of these things than the rock drake, and you don't need very, you know, you don't need a big difference in terrain elevation to get these things to actually fly far. In at number 10, I simply had to put the Velonosaur. I really do love this as an art creature, and sort of just as a general concept. It really does work well with its spine attack abilities just being one of the most enjoyable in my opinion. And it's sort of sad that Wildcard never really revisited this creature and sort of added something similar to it, but it also is technically a good thing too. It stands by its own, and with the R Velonosaurs on Genesis Part 2, you've got some even better ones out there if you wish to have the upgraded version, but both still offer a lot of versatility in the combat scene. Of course you wouldn't use them that close to a theory, but you know, it's just for proof of concept in the B-roll. And their stamina also goes on for absolutely ages. You're going to have no problems with stamina drain on a creature like this. They truly are one of the most enjoyable in my opinion. Next up, I've decided to put the Rhinognatha, and although not a big favourite of mine, just for other reasons, which I won't get into today because I still really like the creature and it's not really valid in my opinion, but my brain is my brain. This creature just can do an incredible amount, and that ability to pick up just such large creatures still always is fascinating and enjoyable to me. Like picking up Rexes and Paraceratheriums and things like that, that just seems really insane to me, and it excites me every time I see one of these things do that, or just generally when I do it, because you always think of carrying creatures like that in a cryopod or soul traps, because who really uses cryopods unless you're playing on official or on console? Just use soul traps. They're just far better. They are a little bit rare sometimes, I find, to actually tame, and the tame method is pretty enjoyable too, as long as you get it right. It's exactly the same as the Reaper tame method, except to just impregnate a dino instead of your own self, and you're also going to need a bunch of resources, which will appear on screen at some point, rather than the XP. So the tame method, in my opinion, isn't quite as enjoyable as the Reaper, but that creature's later on the list, and I think we'll talk about this thing a little bit later, but still a very enjoyable creature to ride around on, deal damage with, and pick up insanely large creatures with. Next up, I've decided to put the gas bags on the list, as the idea of the gas bags still just really excites me as an Ark player, and it's sort of comedically funny in the way it moves. It's just basically passing gas as it moves through the sky, because it doesn't actually fly in the sense of using its wings. It simply uses its air, which it fills up through its mouth. So, you know, it's a funny concept from Wildcard, and I really enjoy it, and once you get round controlling one, it can be a very fun experience to have around friends. And even if you're not great at flying one like I was in the B-roll, I should really update this at some point, you can still have a heck of a time as well, as long as you don't end up losing everything and getting things killed, because there obviously is a probability to some extent, which, you know, you always got to be careful out there. Ark is Ark at the end of the day, and it will throw you under the bus quite a lot. This is a really great traveller of heavy things, though. It has a great amount of weight, and it flies at quite a decent speed. Doesn't even need a saddle. The saddle's only there if you want to bring a mate along with you, which is why I said it's quite good if you've got a friend too. Just really adds to the enjoyable level of this creature, but also just playing games with your friends is generally more enjoyable than just playing it by yourself. In at number 7, we've got the Baryonyx, and I simply have to put this creature here, at least in my opinion, because of the huge experience that I've had with a creature like this. It really does excite me as an Ark tame. It is such an easy one, and yet so useful and versatile to the general Ark player. A lot can be done with a Baryonyx that really can't be done with other creatures, at least within the range of when you're going to be taming this thing. Its saddle's dirt cheap as well. It is an insanely great caving mount, capable of fitting into any sort of cave with absolute ease, apart from the artifacts of Skylords, but basically a dung beetle's not even going to fit in that either. You've got to crouch through bits of that. There's not really a point of bringing creatures into that cave. But when you do bring this into any sort of cave, you're going to demolish all creatures that you can find in the area. You'll have absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. You're going to tower through tons and tons of creatures and just have no issues whatsoever, health wise and damage wise, because they really do pack. They're great at swimming as well. With their spin attack, they can stun creatures like the size of Megalodon. They truly are fantastic tames, really enjoyable to ride on, and just generally really enjoyable creatures. Coming up next, we have got the Desmodus, and for me, is there really anything more fun than just a blood bag farm that can also do 30% of your tames with a click of a button? It is just such an enjoyable creature to have around. The Sanguine Elixir, again, 30% of your tame is done like that with a click of a button, and their blood bag farms. And for a creature later on the list, that is going to be an extremely useful thing for me. Might not be quite for you, but definitely for me. But even if you're thinking of taming more Desmoduses, it's still going to be useful to you. They have the glide ability as well, and they are rapidly fast flies. You're never going to be let down by the speed of these things, at least I'm not in any sense. And they can also grapple onto walls, vertical surfaces, or ceilings, like a Tapijara, which is another quite nice creature, although I think I'm not really too fond on it. The Desmodus is definitely a far better creature in my eye. Spawns on Fjorda, really isn't too difficult to tame. Your first one is obviously going to be the hardest, but then you've got a Bloodbag farm, so it really isn't going to be too difficult for all the others. Just great flyers, great use for PvP, great use for PvE. And at number 5, we have got the Argentavis, and I'm also going to put the Tropiognathus here as sort of a side note, but I really love both of these creatures as they are just such fast flies. They are so rapid, like genuinely, you can get a lot done with the speed of these things. You can traverse maps with absolute ease. You should have no issues whatsoever, especially in just generally getting from A to B really quickly. Even in the damage department too, they excel with all of their lasers or just bomb firing apparatus. And although maybe there's a little bit more gauge on how fast you're going on the Triplognathus, in my opinion the Astrodelphis is just more of the smoother flyer. Although its saddle is unlocked a little bit later on, and arguably its tame method's harder, although I've always found it a bit easier in my opinion, because element is found everywhere on Gen 2, and if you just do it right and take precautions for void roams in the area, you really should have no issues, even getting one of these things quite early on. In the early days of the channel, I also made a guide to taming one of these things. It's an absolutely terrible video, but if you want to check it out, then you can add to about the 20 views that it's got at the moment. It came out over a year ago now. Actually, maybe don't look up, that's an embarrassing time in my channel. In number 4, we have got the Reaper, and this is just one of those creatures where it's like, can anything really get better than a Xenomorph alien? Obviously, apart from the creature which are in the 1, 2, and 3 spots, at least for me. Yeah, this thing really is up there when it comes into enjoyable arc tames. It is such a great marathon to tame one of these things with its, some may say, laboriously long method, and also quite difficult one too, but I find it really isn't too bad once you get into it. And if it all goes well for you, which if you prepare enough it should, unless Arc's just being Arc and it absolutely ruins everything for you, then it should be a reasonably enjoyable experience. Simply trap it and get its health below 1000, that being a Reaper Queen of course, and then you need to let it impregnate you, get loads of XP, and then once your Reaper baby is born, try and claim that thing. Some Reaper pheromones will help if that baby's still trying to kill you, because it probably will, to be honest. They're not strictly necessary, at least I'm pretty sure, so I don't think you have to feed them to it early on, but I would keep them there for safe measure. They're not quite the hardest things to get, but it will take a little bit of elbow grease. But then you got yourself a cool Reaper, and it's such a great arc of progression. I love taming these things every single time on AB. Yes, they can be easily obtained on Gen 2, but I don't really see the fun in that, because it's really just not difficult in my opinion, and I love the progression. In at number 3, we have got the Maywing, and this is so enjoyable to me as, come on, look at firstly just how good this thing's model is. I love the design of this creature. It's sort of like a flying sky platypus, and it's really captured the hearts of many Arc players ever since its release. But also why it's just so enjoyable is it's just so fast. It's like honestly insane. This thing travels at such a pace, basically nothing can keep up to it unless it's had insane movement speed levels put into it, which isn't possible on basically all these servers out there, because little have fly speed leveling. I'm also pro fly speed leveling, by the way, if you're wondering. I think Arc should really bring it back. I guess, yeah, it was a little bit game breaking, but maybe set a limit on it for those official servers, like 135% or 150% or something like that, because it really does add a nice dynamic. Yeah, 1000 movement speed Maywings would be absolutely insane, and I've tested them out on some single player servers and they are so fun to ride on when they're that speed, but also a little bit not, because you just get stuck in everything. That's a portable feeding trough, so it is an enjoyable thing for breeders. They're pretty decent swimmers too, and they can gather berries, but the main reason why they're here is just the Maywings are so good with their speed. It's honestly insane. In number 2, I've decided to put the Bloodstalker, as this is my favourite all-time, just basically general travelling mount out there. While I love the Maywing and it's got loads of great speed on it, for just generally all travel combined, that including underwater travel especially, because I do actually spend quite a lot of time down there. I don't know why I've been doing that as of late, but I'm just really enjoying it, I guess. Just for general travel on the surface as well, they work so effectively, and they are my favourite travel mount at the moment. Not only can you see all the aggros of the creatures, but they are fast in literally any environment, underwater and on land. Maybe not in lava, but I don't think any creature is, apart from the Magmasaur, but that's not on the list because it really isn't one of my favourites out there, at least just generally in my opinion. but I do find these things to be very quick and agile in basically every environment that you're going to face. Again, the underwater environment travel of this creature is just insane, and that is one of the main reasons why I'm putting it here, as yes, a Basilo is immune to all the electric eels and jellyfish, but you can easily skip away from them with a creature like this, and you can see if that aggroed onto you well before they even reach you, which is why these things are just amazing. There's just so much peace of mind put into this creature, and they've really seemingly been so well designed for all of these environments, and I just love them dearly, especially with the Desmodus being bloodback farms. I can tame as many of these things really as I want, but usually I'll just settle for one high level, maybe get another one, and then I've got a breeding pair, and then I'll breed them together, and then just take the baby of that, ride it around, and then if it dies, I'll just breed those two Bloodstalkers together again, and boom, I've got another Bloodstalker. But I'll usually keep a couple of babies spare, because you should always keep some spare of your favourite dinos. And coming in at number 1, we've got the Deinonychus. I really can't find anything that is more enjoyable just as a general creature to me like the Deinonychus. It is such a good one for any kind of boss fight. It just deals a heck of a lot of damage really, and with the bleed ability being inflicted on bosses as well, it is an all gore out fight, and I really do like these creatures for that. It adds just a sort of comicness to these creatures, and that's something which I really enjoy. Just there's blood spewing absolutely everywhere on this Bronto, and soon enough it is very much dead. With the pack buff too, you are buffed like absolute hell, and you've got tons of these things going after you as well, obviously along with you as sort of your pack mates, to help those boss fights go by as quickly as possible. Even for longer ones like the Master Controller, I find they still work well. Yes, a couple of health mutations are probably required, but it's not the hardest thing in the world to get those done, at least from my experience. Yes, on official everything it's still going to be a pain, but I'm working with 2.5x rates here with 5x on breeding, because I don't like to wait quite that long. Because a Giga taking a week on official is something which I really don't want. That's raising time, by the way. They can also scale any kind of wall or vertical surface with absolute ease. The climbing and the sort of parkour that these creatures offer is one which is sort of highly sought after. The Thyla does it very well too, but the Deinonychus is just a better creature overall. The only thing it lacks is that underwater travel, but realistically I'm not going to be using it for that. I'm just using it for everything else. So thank you to my wonderful patrons Katerina Puchkova, Karina Thorne, Dominic Masijewski and Ethan Tapia, who have all supported me through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. If you want to join this list, then go join Patreon or YouTube members, but thanks to all of these guys.